I found this little sign at my local thrift shop. I grabbed it for like $2. And of course, I needed to flip it into something super cute with my very first project with my Recreate laser. So this little sign, as soon as I saw it, I instantly saw an Easter egg in the middle. And then I had this little cross that I thought would go perfectly with the Easter egg. So I went from there and I started giving it like a vintagey vibe. And I'm in love with how this one turned out. So make sure you're following the page, subscribe to my channel, all the things, and I'll walk you through what we did here. So I painted the whole thing white, like Waverly plaster. I had mixed it with a little bit of a khaki color, and it wasn't quite khaki enough. So the first coat was more white. The second coat was a little bit more of like a tannish creamish. I think I would call it like a cashew. And then I got this scrapbook paper from Amazon. It's like a vintagey floral music notes, a little bit of like a blue in there, and I traced that onto this Dollar Tree wooden Easter egg. We cut that out, and then these Easter eggs, they're so like rough around the edges, so I went ahead and I just sanded it to smooth it up before I stained the edges. I didn't stain the whole thing because the only part that you're going to see is the edge, because we are going to obviously put our scrapbook paper on top. So once I had that stained with my Waverly Antique Wax, I used my matte Mod Podge. I decoupaged the scrapbook paper right to the top of the egg there. I dried it really good, and then I went ahead and just used my Gator sander. I love my little Gator. Gets in all those little crevices. I just sanded off all the excess paper from around the Easter egg. And then, of course, we had to add a little bit of Kiehl's dark wax just to grunge it up a little more. The paper already has like a darker vintagey vibe going on, so I definitely want to dark wax the entire project. So after I did the Easter egg, I went ahead and did my little thrift store sign here. This was just perfect. I loved how it already had feet, so it stands up, because, you know, I don't have really any room to hang anything in my house. So I love a little shelf sitter. All right, so I went all along this entire piece. I did the feet, I did the edges, I did the corners, I did the top. I always go heavier around the corners and around any of the edges. I don't really do like the middle too much, although I did kind of use my finger and just rub it into the middle a little. So the whole thing looked nice and uniform. All right, so after I finish that, we're going to take care of our cross here. So I just heated up the wood so I could get those little pieces off without breaking them. They just popped right off with a paint scraper. I stained my cross. I did the front and the back because I was not sure how I wanted to do the cross. I didn't know if I wanted to leave it stained or if I wanted to do what I ended up doing and using a little palette knife and just scraping some of that cashew color paint on the front. I wanted it to look old and kind of just, you know, distressed. So I went back and forth, but ultimately I decided to use the side that I'm doing right now. And then I wanted to bring out some of the blue in that paper. I really like that pretty blue. So I did mix a few colors together to get that blue, you guys. I don't remember exactly what it was, but just play around till you get the color you want. I think it was gray, blue, a little bit of teal, and I ended up adding like a drop or two of black to darken it up a little. So I painted the insides of the cross. Then I painted all my letters that I cut on my laser. You could get letters from Dollar Tree or like Hobby Lobby or Amazon, but I wanted like a typewriter font. So I cut them out myself, and I posted a reel earlier kind of showing the process of how you can save money on letters by cutting them at home. All right, so I grunged up. A lot of grunge going on here, you guys. A lot of dark wax. I dark waxed just about everything. I sanded those little pieces too to kind of distress them a little bit. Glued them back onto my cross. Once I had that all glued together, I went ahead and glued my cross to my Easter egg. And then I glued my Easter egg to my project right there in the middle. So it's coming together. You see how it's coming together. And then my letters were like too bright. They didn't go with the whole rest of the project. So I used my wax and grunged those up too. I feel like a broken record. Use my wax, use my sander. And then they were so small, it was going to be too hard, even with my precision glue gun, too hard without getting a million glue strings. So I just took some wood glue and a skewer, and I used that kind of as like an applicator, and I just dabbed the wood glue all along the letters. And this will hold better too. Once that dries, it's going to be a better hold than the hot glue. So I did all that. He is risen. And then we are almost done, but I felt like it was just missing something. I was going to add a little bow to the center of the cross, but instead I decided to add a little bit of Sweet Annie and a little bit of a dried flower that I got on one of my hikes, with the dried flower that I bought from Hobby Lobby, right to the center, and that was it. That was just what it needed to bring this craft to life. So perfect for spring and Easter, especially if you decorate with crosses. I really don't very much, but I do like to make things every now and then that are, have a cross. So here she is, all done. So pretty, so vintagey. I just love it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this beautiful thrift